Welcome to Focus on Manufacturing. I'm Peter Stanton, the publisher of the Worcester Business Journal, and as guests here today, we have Nicole Z, who's the plant manager at Saint-Gobain Super Abrasives here in Worcester, and Bill DiBenedetto, who's the president of Lampin Corporation in Uxbridge. Welcome.
Thank
you. I'd like to start the show by maybe, Nicole, with you. Just briefly tell us what your company makes here in central Massachusetts and your role as plant manager, what you do.
Sure. Saint-Gobain's a multinational company. We have about 170,000 employees worldwide. Here in Central Mass, we have about 2,000 employees. We make anything from grinding wheels in my business. We also have plastics manufacturing, and further out we have CertainTeed roofing and other housing products. In Northborough, we also have a research and development group, but my facility is mostly focused on super abrasives grinding wheels.
Got it. And so as plant manager,
my responsibility is to make sure that we're satisfying our customers. We have high quality product. We have about 140 employees that work in our facility, and we sell about $40 million in sales annually.
Terrific, terrific. And Bill, tell us a little bit about Lampin Corp and your role there.
Sure. Lampin Corporation has been an established machining manufacturing company since the early 60s. We're located in Uxbridge, Massachusetts. We specialize in small plastic and metal machine components, primarily used within our region in the Northeast United States, in the medical industry, for medical equipment and medical devices, robotics, automation, and test and measurement. And my role is president, and we have an ESOP organization, which is an employee-owned company, and my job is to provide strategic and operational leadership and direction for the company to make sure that we're a competitive company and in this very competitive environment that we're in, and to create value for our stockholders.
Understood. And I think when we talked about what do you make, I know you've got a couple products sitting here on the table.
I brought some examples of the types of products that we manufacture. These happen to be two products that are manufactured out of aluminum round stock, and these are highly precise parts that are manufactured on CNC Swiss machines.
Understood. So recently the state held a big manufacturing summit at the DCU Center here in Worcester, and October was officially named the Manufacturing Month, and that's really an effort to give visibility to the industry and awareness. Can you tell us about any programs or what your company is doing maybe in the community to sort of increase that awareness, whether it's part of Manufacturing Month or sort of just part of an ongoing effort?
Sure. Saint-Gobain is sponsoring the Chamber of Commerce's Manufacturing Roundtable. So every 3 or 4 months, we get together with a group of manufacturers, also the Chamber of Commerce, and other partners in education to really talk about the pending issues or the ongoing issues with manufacturing. As a result of that, we're hosting an open roundtable in our Norton Hall, which is a highly historic, really memorable place in our facility, to talk with educators about why we should introduce manufacturing as early as possible. So that's on October 27th, really teaching them the insights and the career paths for manufacturing. Additionally, we'll be doing tours of the Brookstone Valley Educational Foundation through our facility. So that's how we're supporting both Manufacturing Month and overall in the Central Mass area.
Good, good. And Bill, I know your company is directly involved in working with schools and other groups. Anything in particular that you're doing to sort of reach out and increase that community awareness?
Reaching out is a strong part of our culture. Our chairman and the former owner of our company, Scott Rossiter, was really keen on reaching out to the schools, particularly in the Blackstone Valley, to provide incentives for innovation for young students in the high schools and in the tech schools. And we continue in that tradition where providing funds for development, innovation development. I reach out to the schools myself, go out to make speeches about career opportunities in manufacturing and how critical it is to maintain manufacturing in this area in the United States, particularly around security as an example. We manufacture components that are used in bomb sniffing, as an example, and that is extremely important to the safety of our environment. And this particular October, we're conducting 3 different tours of our facility where selected students will come in based on their desire and do some interactive work on our software to develop some parts that we have, and then they'll actually see those parts being manufactured on multi-axis machines. And we'll have a Q&A session so they can talk to us about the kinds of things that they can do in our business. And we'll talk about how we are committed to developing young students to become top-notch machinists or engineers or whatever they would like.
Interesting. And so really developing that young workforce just seems to be a critical component going forward. There's one of the things I want to mention here is we've got a list of all the open houses that are being run at manufacturers that we're going to provide Charter TV3 so that it'll be on the Charter website. And there's also a list of those open houses on the MassMEP website. So we'll make sure that that information is available to viewers and that they can either find out about things that you're doing directly at your companies or what other firms are doing throughout the Central Mass area. I know recently we had a chance to talk to Jay Ash, who's the Secretary of Housing and Economic Development, about sort of that challenge of workforce development. So it'd be great to hear. Let's hear what Jay has to say.
As Governor Baker and I have been traveling around the Commonwealth, we've been talking to businesses about what their issues are in terms of growth and maintaining their place in the business community. And what we hear over and over again is workforce. In fact, at today's session of the Advanced Manufacturing Collaborative, I asked the question, audience participation time, would everybody who has a job available raise their hand? And almost 3/4 of the room raised their hand. That tells us that there are an awful lot of jobs out there. Those jobs are actually chasing after people. And we in the Baker administration are trying to solve that problem for our businesses. We've been partnering with community colleges and vocational schools, as well as training centers, to help provide grants to support equipment upgrades that will allow for young learners and adult learners to come into places and learn how to train, how to work on the newest, latest equipment in order to be ready to be hired into manufacturing facilities and other places in order to contribute to the economy of those businesses.
Introducing the all-new CharterTV3.com. Hover along the easy-to-read navigation bar. Find your favorite shows scrolling down the drop-down menus. Shows like the Hanover Theater This Week, Health Watch, the Central Mass Business Report, Your Community Advocate, and more. Visit the all-new CharterTV3.com today.
Kevin and Andy do not share every talent. This is one they do share. Kevin and Andy do not share every talent. This is one they do share.
Welcome back to Focus on Manufacturing. We've been having a conversation here about the challenges in the industry, the opportunities in the industry, and it's certainly an incredibly important sector here in Central Massachusetts. At a recent summit at the DCU Center, the governor spoke, and he mentioned that there are 7,000 firms in the state that are manufacturers, and there are about 250,000 people working in those industries. However, in the next 10 years, over 100,000 of those 250,000 workers will be retiring or leaving the workforce. And so that represents both a significant challenge for those employers and a significant opportunity for people looking to grow their careers in this very interesting space. So to start with that conversation, let's get right down to sort of what's happening at Saint-Gobain. How do those numbers that sort are from the state, you'd mentioned earlier, Nicole, how many employees you have, both in your division and in the company overall. Do you see that kind of shift in the workforce where those baby boomers are also leaving your firm at about that rate?
Absolutely, absolutely. We're losing a large number of people in the next 3 to 5 to 10 years associated with retirement. Our biggest gap is in the 15-year experience. We're starting to bring people in now in the 5-year experience gap. So it is really critical for us to grow that pipeline of employees for manufacturing. So we're doing a large number of things. We're partnering with the local vocational schools especially, so Blackstone Valley, Worcester Technical High School, to try and build in machinists. We're also trying to partner with the local communities and teach people what it is about manufacturing that's so enticing. It's a career, it's not just a job. There's a lot of opportunities within the company to grow and to have a job either from straight out of high school or coming out of college or even a PhD. So it's critical for us for people to see that there's opportunities, because we will have a very significant gap in the very near future that we have to close. And I think there's a lot of opportunities people don't know about.
I agree they don't know about it, and I think there's, that's sort of why there's a real effort from the industry, from individual firms to kind of get the word out. Bill, how about at your company? How do those sort of statewide numbers reflect when you look at your workforce today and where it needs to be in, let's say, 10 years from now?
We're experiencing the same projection of key employees that will be retiring, particularly over the next 5 years. And we need to fill the gap because in our profession, it takes a number of years to really get proficient at what you're doing, to be a highly skilled machinist. So we need to start early. And we're not waiting. At Lampin, we're reaching out to all sectors of the community to try to entice young people to think about manufacturing. As I mentioned earlier, I go to the high schools and the middle schools, and I'm speaking to 8th graders about potential careers in manufacturing, and I find that
I'm trying to think what I knew about my future in 8th grade.
Well, I just want to expose them to it.
Yeah.
It's important that they understand it, not that they're going to really, decide what they're going to do at that age.
Right.
But I find that as they get into high school, I would like to know that they're predisposed with manufacturing as well as service careers, and make that decision based on that. And I also offer them the opportunity to come in to visit Lampin and possibly take a position as an intern in our company. What we've decided to do is to help people with their skill levels. So we will take somebody who shows a real interest in either manufacturing or making something, and we will take them through many different levels of experience in manufacturing and machining to help them develop that skill further based on what their capabilities are. So you really don't have to have a lot of the base education that I think people think you need to have. We will train you, but you need to be very interested in it, and you need to be excited about the opportunity to learn. And we've done that already. We've brought young students in who've had no experience whatsoever, and they're progressing extremely well.
That's terrific. So Bill mentioned internship programs, and it sounds like you have them even at the high school level. I'm more familiar with it, obviously, at the college level where it can be for credit. Does Saint-Gobain also do a lot with internships and sort of that development?
We do, yeah. So we have the co-op programs through the technical high schools where we do bring them in high school. They do a week on, a week off in our facility where they get the opportunity to learn. We do the traditional internships as well, whether it be in college or even in graduate students, especially in our R&D programs where they're trying to learn very specific skills. But in the manufacturing level, we absolutely do bring in individuals who come in at the high school level. We get them exposure. A lot of times we're promoting children of people who worked with us to try and give them that pipeline of what does mom and dad do, and how can they have a career, the same longevity of a career that their parents had in the facility as well. So we try to encourage that length, because Norton Company, prior to Saint-Gobain owning it, was a very family-oriented company, and we try to do that same tenure. So we have a group of people who are bringing their kids up through the organization as well.
Interesting. In visiting your website just yesterday, I was looking, and one of the things highlighted was a woman who'd actually been with the company for 65 years. I think it was a different facility, but
in Illinois, yes.
Yeah, which is great to see, and that sort of just speaks to that kind of continuity. We've talked about sort of that not needing significant formal education and getting training. Can we talk about sort of the layers at which sort of folks can enter in to the workforce? So we've got that someone coming out of, whether it's a technical high school background or not, but an interest in sort of making things. So there's room for that person to start there. Then you've got sort of folks with a BA or just a general 4-year college grad, and even graduate school. So you've got folks at different levels. So what do those jobs sort of look like? And then I want to also kind of talk about the money, because the manufacturing industry is actually known for having pretty high wages, above many other sectors that these folks might be looking at careers in. But sort of back to the sort of entry point. So we've got someone who can enter the business and get training out of high school. How does that work at those 3 stages?
Sure. So someone coming straight out of high school does just need to be able to work with their hands, know essentially how to make something. We look for people perhaps that rebuild cars or motorcycles in their spare time, even culinary arts students who know how to read a recipe, who are familiar with how to follow instructions and have precision in how they weigh things, can come in and have that high school career, whether they start on first or second shift. Then we're able to basically give them an education afterwards through tuition reimbursement. They're able to work their way up through the organization and be flexible with their hours in order to do that. So at the high school level, they're right out of high school able to do it just by knowing and being willing to work and learn how to make something. Because again, no one learns how to make grinding wheels in high school or and even in college. So in that sense, they're able to come through with that.
Right.
And then as they go into their college degree, as I did, I came in as an entry-level engineer and I had to learn essentially the technology. You don't learn this in college either. So it's on-the-job training, similar to what Bill said, is how they come through.
And one of the benefits, and when someone always looks at a career, one of the questions is what else comes with it, right? Healthcare and other things. And you just kind of mentioned casually, training, significant training that can happen subsidized by the company. And so whether that's, less formal or more formally through school, that sounds like a significant advantage that you're really offering. Does that get highlighted in your marketing for recruits?
Absolutely. I mean, my entire master's was paid for by the company through WPI. So it was one of those situations where I was able to advance my career and use that benefit to my advantage through the company. So it's certainly benefits that we highlight to people and we try to take advantage of as much as possible.
And obviously, Bill, Lampin's smaller than Saint-Gobain, but it sounds like you're doing a lot of training and helping folks develop themselves.
Yes, we're totally committed to the development of our employees, particularly the young interns who show interest. The one thing we do require is that being an intern, you have to show the interest. You have to want to learn. You have to want to be involved. And you have to be interested enough and inquisitive enough to ask questions, because in our environment, in our culture as an ESOP, each one of our employee owners has a vested interest in sharing their knowledge with each other, particularly the more senior ones with the younger ones, because as they retire, they're still owners of the company. Right. And they still benefit from the company ownership. So the company has to maintain its profitability. And what a better way to do that than to have the people running it who are people that you trained at one point in time.
Everybody's all in.
That's right. Everybody's got a piece of the responsibility and share a piece of the pie. So having said that, we'll bring them in, and their first challenge will be to sort of learn the environment. What is this manufacturing thing all about? There's things that you can see in our plant, and there are also things that you can't see. For instance, all of the information flow, that's extremely important. They need to understand that information flow, all the engineering information that goes on in the company. And they do a lot of shadowing for the first year or so. And we'll start them off with simple hand skills. And then, of course, they have to be over 18 years old to be able to operate any machines. But once they reach that point, we'll be teaching them simple machine operation. And then it gets a little bit more complex. Right. They'll eventually get to operate CNC machines. And then there's a degree, there's several degrees of complexity around the CNC machines until they become a master machinist.
We had a chance to talk to John Killam at the recent manufacturing event, and John's the president of MassMEP, and he also had a lot to say about those training programs. Let's hear from John.
Our programs are applied across the state, as well as central Massachusetts. And our program is developed to bring the non-technical folks, the non-manufacturing indoctrinated folks, into a program and skill them up from a level of entry-level employee, achieving a certification, to a machine operator, being certified, right through to a CNC operator, and again, receiving some type of credential. These programs can be then brought into the QCC, for example, the QCC, Quinsigamond Community College environment, where those credits are applied towards college credits, and those folks can then follow along the QCC path and earn an associate's degree in manufacturing technologies. So what we're building is a pyramid of talent, the lower level being the broader aspects of manufacturing training, the intro level, right up through the associate's degree, preparing people for the engineering positions, supervisory positions within manufacturing.
Just like in baseball, good sports reporting relies on the bullpen. There are days when our front man just doesn't have his stuff anymore.
What is he doing? This is rude.
I think it's Grafton. It could be Bartlett. It's a green and white team.
You don't have it tonight. You're done.
Son of a bitch. I f***ing have it. Tell me I don't
I can still bring it.
Yes, time. All right, that's actually Bartlett versus Milbury, and it's Todd Duchesne for Milbury.
I'm just glad I can be a role guy here.
Introducing the all-new CharterTV3.com. Hover along the easy-to-read navigation bar. Find your favorite shows scrolling down the drop-down menus. Shows like the Hanover Theater This Week, Health Watch, the Central Mass Business Report, Your Community Advocate, and more. Visit the all-new CharterTV3.com today.
Welcome back to Focus on Manufacturing, and the conversation is going to shift now to the money, which is how much are people making in what I would call sort of advanced manufacturing jobs. And I'm going to throw out a number that's from a state study that I think was 2014, where they suggested that the median wage, including benefits and so forth, for jobs in advanced manufacturing was in the high $70,000 range, which is really astounding when you compare that to other career paths that folks are considering. Can you tell us a little bit about sort of the perception and the reality of those kind of earnings? And
Sure. So we're definitely in that competitive range when it comes to the fully burdened or fully loaded cost of having an employee, so their salary and also their benefits and the things that we bring to the table. So absolutely, that's the competitive salary that we offer in that range. Mm-hmm. And that would be starting for manufacturing on the shop floor and working their way up. So there's only really room to grow at that point, on top of opportunities for overtime or for education reimbursement, also some charitable giving benefits as well to the employees. So it is competitive. It's not something that you're walking out of school and making $8 or $9 an hour anymore. It's a significant wage that can be a real life wage for you, even starting out from school.
Mm-hmm. And so Saint-Gobain's large organization, Bill, do those opportunities apply to most sort of smaller and medium-sized manufacturers as well?
I can speak for Lampin.
Yeah.
It absolutely does. We need to be just as competitive as Saint-Gobain does, because in some cases we're trying to attract the same quality of folks with the same skills. So it is regardless of our size how we set our rates. And in Lampin, we have an extremely rich benefit program because of the fact that we've been successful. So we can offer our machinists sizable compensation in the range of $50,000 to $80,000 a year. Now, in addition to that, because we're an ESOP, people get to earn shares in our company over a period of time. And most of those people, if they're there for a long enough period, will end up with a six-figure retirement account, totally as a benefit. They don't have to pay into that at all. So there's a lot of money to be made in manufacturing. We need the best people we can find because of the level of precision and accuracy that our company needs to perform at. And we are absolutely willing to pay for that commitment, and we do.
So the perception shouldn't be from some young person that they start off at that wage, but clearly there's a track ahead where they can be earning that and earning a good, solid living.
Yeah.
So misperception, I can't make very good money, and I can. Other misperceptions that you hear sort of about the industry that you really wish could be dispelled?
Probably the biggest one for me is that it's not a place for women, that, or really of anyone diversity. There's a particular demographic that's associated with manufacturing, and that's not true. Certainly women are not as high a percentage as men are, but Saint-Gobain especially is really focused on diversity, not only of men and women or gender, but related to their ethnic background and their thinking process. A diversity of thinking brings a new opportunity to satisfy customers, because they're also consumers at the end of the day. If you can think like your consumers because you are their consumers, you're able to essentially make what they want in the future, not just for today. So I have enjoyed manufacturing, I very much do. I think that in my case, my demographic being a woman, I bring a certain amount of difference to the way that I communicate and the way that I lead relative to other people. I also look at problems in a different way. But again, you collaborate with one another. It's not about the demographic that you're bringing to the table. So certainly that's one. I think the other is probably the level of safety. Manufacturing strives to be as safe as possible. It's not an old, dirty, dangerous industry any longer. Right. It's a very high-tech industry with a lot of high-precision equipment, and it's a very safe environment. We pride ourselves on being as safe as possible for our employees. They go home with all their fingers and toes. They go home to their kids and are able to give them a hug at the end of the day. It's not about putting people at risk anymore, whereas maybe 10 to 20 to 30 years ago, that was a misconception that was on the floor.
Understood. Bill, did you want to add one to that?
We're the same way. I mean, we want to attract anybody that has an innovative mind, and it really doesn't, it cuts across gender. We'll hire people with disabilities as long as they can think and they can perform the job. We're excited to have them.
Understood. So I want to thank our guests today, Nicole Z. from Saint-Gobain Super Abrasives, and Bill DiBenedetto, president of Lampin Corporation. And I also want to get one more take from Jay Ash, who just sort of talks a little bit about the advantages that state leadership sees for the manufacturing industry in Massachusetts, and wrap up with that. But thank you again for coming in.
We're excited about manufacturing coming back to Massachusetts. We see an effort starting up in the federal government, leading in the state government, and working with local communities that is onshoring manufacturing to the United States and to Massachusetts. We feel the advantage that Massachusetts has is around our research and development. The way that we think about manufacturing, the way that we turn those thoughts into commercialized products that can make a difference in the manufacturing plants and throughout the entire ecosystem that supports product development. So we've been working closely with places like WPI, with Quinsigamond Community College here in Worcester, with the entire UMass system, with the MITs of the world, to focus on research and development. We just heard a tremendous presentation here about how important local development is going to be to the things that we are going to be using in the future. And we believe because of the research and development that we have, the smarts we have around making things better, stronger, more efficiently, we're going to be well placed to be not only competitive, but to be a leader in manufacturing going forward.
Introducing the all-new CharterTV3.com. Hover along the easy-to-read navigation bar. Find your favorite shows scrolling down the drop-down menus. Shows like the Hanover Theater This Week, Health Watch, the Central Mass Business Report, Your Community Advocate, and more. Visit the all-new CharterTV3.com today.
Andy was signed in 2000. Strong announcing voice, good work ethic, and we throw a live hit at him every now and again, but he and the front office know who the real franchise sports anchor is around here.
That's good. Are you sure?
I try to be a mentor to him, show him the ropes, help him develop.
Should it be this high?
But every now and then, I need to think about job security.
Academy 82. Moving on. General Tso's chicken and Szechuan orange flavored. What happened to my script?
Kid certainly has a bright future here.
Did he mention I'm also the news director?